When was the last time you scribbled outside the lines? Or stepped outside the circle? Do you remember when you just packed up and went on a holiday? Just out somewhere, without a thought or a care in the world. Did you ever do that? Or could you ever do it again? Routines are some of our greatest ironies. The human brain wants normalcy and predictability because it makes us feel safe. And then suddenly the brain wants to break that predictability with something unexpected, but something we can quickly realise is just as safe. We're conditioned for the unexpected when we're just little children. At first, things are terrifying.
What's wrong, big guy?
Then we begin to understand they aren't so scary. As we become adults, we're still looking for our jack-in-the-box. In today's world, we're so busy, caught up in the daily schedules and intricacies of life, that we forget to embrace the spontaneity that can bring fun and new experiences into our lives. Today, we're looking at the ENFP personality type. E for extroverted, energized by the external world. N for intuitive, big picture, love innovation and change. F for feeling, concerned with values and what's best for people, like to establish harmony and maintain it. And perceiving, flexible and goes with the flow. Remembering that we can use all of the 8 preferences in the MBTI, but innately one of each pair feels more natural. So who is an ENFP? Because of their intuitive adventurous nature, ENFP personality types have a way of instilling excitement in everyday life. Always looking for possibilities, these personalities also have a deep love of humanity and the world itself. The same old routine, day after day, will make them bored, unless they're doing work that aligns with their beliefs. ENFPs crave the opportunity to work in an environment that encourages and rewards creativity. It utilises their thinking outside of the box, fosters teamwork, and it offers them opportunities to work with a variety of people. With less concern about work stability and security than other types, they can take more risks and experiment with careers that other types might find too novel. This may seem irresponsible for some, but many ENFPs are happier and more fulfilled with a non-traditional career path. Staying within the lines has never been their strength, and they function better in a lifestyle that aligns with their values and their need for variety. However, not all ENFPs are about taking risks and mixing things up. Many are drawn to longer-term careers that allow them to help people in therapeutic ways, whether it be through coaching and development, teaching and religious callings, as well as the creative arts. I'm Kate Mason, and welcome to Personalities, Parenting and Partners. This is the podcast that connects you to the ones you care about the most. In this episode of Personalities, Parenting and Partners, we're talking about breaking the patterns in life. The ENFP is one of the personalities that embraces variety, change and people. So today we're going to chat with Normy to get a sense of someone who not only welcomes change and adventure, he craves it. He embraces adventure. Having grown up in Canada, he's spent many of his years travelling the world. He's currently living in Australia and preparing for his next big adventure. We're going to find out how he broke the mould of parental expectation to live his dream. Normy has a seriously impressive list of achievements, both study and work-wise. Bachelor in Liberal Arts, Masters in Teaching English to Speakers of Other Languages, Masters of International Business, Masters in HR. Now I'm just going to throw in a few more accomplishments that Normy has shared with me that he said I could use if I needed a little bit of extra fluff. Normy was also the academic director of a well-known English language school in South Korea, national director of HR for the same company, recruiting foreign teachers, appointed by UAE Ministry of Education for Planning and Logistics to run uni entrance exams for 14,000 students, and in charge of the Abu Dhabi and Western region of the UAE with staffing around 500. Normy held this position for 10 years. He's just finished online teaching for a British university based near Shanghai, teaching non-Chinese foreign students from around the world, teaching academic writing and intercultural communication. Now that is some pretty awesome fluff. Phew! Welcome, Normy.
Thanks, Kate.
That's all right. It sounded too awesome, that's all. So you've been a very busy man from what I've just read out there. Over the years, you have done so much, and you've even got a birthday coming up that makes you nearly more than halfway through your life. Is that right?
That's right. You are so right, yes.
Getting to live to be over 100 at least. Look, what I want to do is I just want to get a handle on young Norman before we go any further, and understand how your early family life shaped who you are today. You know, what happened in your family when you were young, with your father and his moving around.
Yeah, sure. So my parents, they are both from the Philippines, and they met in Canada. So they're both avid travelers, adventure seekers, and they left to go to Canada for a better life. While we were in Canada, well, I was born in Canada, but raised in the States. So my father was always wanting to find something that was better, bigger, and kind of interesting. So every few years we would always move. So we moved to the United States because my dad wanted to have an American child. I was consummated in America, but I was born in Calgary.
Okay.
So then after we lived in the United States, you know, that was during the Vietnam War, and my dad had to decide whether to stay in the United States or go back to Canada. And so because of the political situation, he felt that it was better to live in Canada. So we went back to Canada, went to Vancouver, and every 2 or 3 years, he would just get bored.
Yep.
Just get bored of where we were living. So we would move in the middle of the school year. And so as a result, I've had to go to 7 elementary schools and about 5 high schools. So I've always had to kind of meet new friends and say goodbye to old ones. So it was kind of turmoil all the time. So, and I think because of that, I've always had to be forthright and, be friendly and just try to make the effort.
And adjust to new situations. Absolutely. So that was a huge impact. That probably had a pretty big impact on what you did now. What kind of kid were you as a child growing up?
Okay, so I know about authority, but when it comes to my parents, I would always kind of rebel. So I'm like the black sheep of the family. So one instance is that it was grade 11. We were going to Europe. So just with the school band trip.
Yep.
But I knew that I wanted to stay longer. However, if I asked my parents to stay longer, they'd say no. So what I did was I basically forged my parents' signature, saying that I could stay in Europe. I took money from my parents every which way I could. And then I gave the permission slip to the high school administrators saying that, I could stay. So I didn't tell them during the summer. So we left for Europe. And then when we came back, my parents were looking for me at the airport and they couldn't find me. So they asked some of my friends if they knew. And they said, well, where's Norm? And it's well, Norm's in Europe. And so they didn't understand. So, of course, they brought in the administrators. The administrators had, showed the permission slips. They deny it. They didn't know where I was for a good, probably about a month and a half, 2 months. While I was gallivanting around Europe. So, but they were smart, because I have an aunt that lives in Greece. So when I ran out of money, I just went, where would you go, right? So I went to see my aunt for a while. And it was in a remote little village. So I was kind of safe until they found out and figured out that I was in Greece. So I had to go back roughly in about September, early October.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
Oh, Normie, I'm so glad you weren't my kid. That would have been so stressful for your parents.
They were a bit
very,
stressed.
very clever of you.
Yeah.
I bet they were. I would have sent you to your bedroom for months after that. Oh, and just the thought that you could have actually planned out that trip. So obviously you love traveling and you're obviously really capable of getting yourself around the world without anybody knowing in that sense. So when you got back home, and your parents, you got older, got out of school. What started your lifelong journey? How did you break that mold of parental expectation? Because as parents, we all we have expectations around our kids, and we want them to have the right life and be looked after and take care of them. How did that work for you?
I ran away. So what I did is, I wanted to still travel a lot. So, and I finished my first degree. I had a huge debt and I wanted to travel. So how can I combine the two? So big picture, go overseas, right? So I applied everywhere and anywhere that would, accept my degree. And I ended up in Korea. So, at the time I actually got accepted to med school, but I decided, nah, this is not for me. So I didn't tell my parents like I always do. And I just said, hey, can you give me a ride to the airport? I'm going to Korea tomorrow. So they just like, yeah, okay, Norm's doing this thing again. When are you going to come back? I'm like, I'm not sure. So since 95, I left Canada and now I'm here in Australia. Fast forward so many years later. And I think, my parents, because they're both in the medical profession, I think I was always like the disappointment, right? So what I did was, I made I think, you told your audience that of the things that I have done,
Yes.
over the years. And so, I think deep down, I think I did that because I wanted to make my parents proud. And then I think one day they actually came over to visit me in Dubai. And then my dad and my mom had said, now we understand why you like to travel so much and the things that you have done. There's more opportunity for you in the global scale rather than thinking locally. So, and so now
Fantastic.
I'm here. Yeah. And I keep pushing myself because I think it's, learning is like lifelong, so.
Yes. Yeah. So you're always learning and you're always doing something. So can you just give us an idea of because it's just fascinating, especially for people like me who are sensing and we like our little comfort zone and don't go out and do too much. And when I talk to people like you, I'm so exhilarated and I want to do so much more. And you're inspirational in everything that you've done. When you don't think you're inspirational,
No.
but like your parents say, you can see that this is really your life and the way that you want to live. And so many people don't live that life. And look, it'd be very uncomfortable for me to live that life. But can you give us an idea of your work, how you worked your way around Korea and Australia and Saudi Arabia and what, just a little bit of a timetable around that?
Well, I don't really look at time as much as like a goal, but I just think of, okay, this is my end goal.
Yeah.
How am I going to get to that end goal? I'll find my way. Doesn't matter how I'll do it, but I'll do it. So when I was in Korea, I was, seeing other people, they had master's degrees and I saw that it had more opportunities for them to, for work purposes, traveling. So I thought, okay, well, I'll just do a master's degree. Didn't know what it was. And at the time, that was the Sydney Olympics were coming up. And I thought, okay, let's go to Sydney. So I applied to Sydney, got accepted. And then all of a sudden I found myself there taking a degree. And so then with that degree, I thought, okay, now I can like rule the world, right? So pumped out the resumes. And I've always wanted to see what it was like in the Middle East. I didn't know how I would get there, but I just used the resumes and got interviewed in Kuwait, Saudi Arabia, the United Arab Emirates. And again, it just led to more travel, right? More opportunities to see something different. I like to put myself out there and make myself uncomfortable. And then you just push through and you kind of learn that way. Fast forward, I was in Dubai, talking to some friends and they said, hey, your skill set's needed in Australia. I'm like, you know what? I think it's time to go to Australia. And so I had to go through the process of trying to immigrate to Australia, did some like English test, spent thousands of dollars, but it's all worth it because I had the end goal. Doesn't matter. I want to go to Australia and I want to become an Australian citizen. And I got it. So now I'm here and I got a job. And I'm thinking, okay, now where else am I going to go to next? So I'm hoping to go to Europe in 2 years. So, okay, that's the time frame. So I'm going to be here for 2 years, ideally, and then I'll move to Europe
Right.
I don't know what I'm going to do in Europe, but I just want to live there.
Cool.
So
that's amazing. Amazing for us to listen to, because it's really different thing from the way that we all think, and it's fantastic. So what were your favorite trips? While you've done all of this traveling, what were your favorite trips?
Like when I was I think in the beginning it was Vietnam because I love the coffee. Prague because of the culture that was there. And even at one point when I went to Australia the very first time, I just thought, wow, this is the country that I want to live in. So I was living in Korea at the time. I had 5 days off. My Australian boss said, yeah, go to Australia, check it out. And so when I landed, we had a stopover in Brisbane. Yeah. And I looked outside the window and it was like nice and sunny and people were working in their shorts. And I'm like, you know what? I want that lifestyle. I want to work wearing shorts because I'm tired of the cold. Yeah. So, and then, you know what? I said after that 5-day trip, I said, somehow I'm going to go to Australia. I don't care how or when, well, sooner the better, but I'm going to do it. And so I did. I loved it. And now I'm here.
And love it. And we love having you. And we love being a part of your life. Normy met my daughter while he was studying Masters of Business. Is that correct, Normy? I should know what my daughter was studying at the time.
Yes.
And found a wonderful friend, who helped drive her to do her best, and she had a lot of fun as well, and still one of her best friends.
Yes.
So it's amazing.
It's lovely.
So you've got several properties around the world. We discussed this earlier in different locations. And the locations that you chose to buy them in were quite interesting. And at the time I said to you, so why did you buy these in these places? And of course, they're all brought around a much bigger picture than I have about buying property. So where are they, and kind of what idea do you have about these properties for your future?
Okay, so so for the investment side, I have the one at Whistler, because it's long term, you can generate some money. Also Toronto, but I also have some property in the Cayman Islands because I thought, later on when I get older, I'll build on it and just kind of use that as a vacation. Now I have the one here in Adelaide, also Thailand, Koh Samui. Again, it's beach property. So, and now I'm looking at another one in Cape Town. So I want to, ideally, this is the big picture. Ideally, I want to live in each place for a few months. And then when I'm not using it, I'll just rent it out. So I'm not going to make probably a lot of money, and that's okay, but it's going to facilitate the lifestyle that I want to lead. So still travel, still see the world, but you have like a little bit of a home base. And of course it's to share with family and friends if they ever want to come. So
yes. Yeah. Yep. Well, that sounds like a great plan, and at least you'll be visiting us back in Australia again, so that's fantastic.
I'm going to be living with you.
Good. Happy. Got an empty house right now.
Okay.
You can come and live with me as long as you like.
Okay.
So what are your Kodak moments? You and I were talking about this, and you came up with this phrase, and I thought it was wonderful, and then I thought, I better make sure that I let, for anyone out there that's younger than 40, these were kind of your magical moments in life, because Kodak doesn't really exist the way that we remember it.
Yeah.
So just a couple of Kodak moments that were great for you.
I think when I was I'll look at, let's say in Korea, you're up and coming and you're traveling, meeting all these different people. And you're like, I think I was like in my mid-20s, and it's the first time you got to meet like the president or some K-pop superstars. They just happen to be in your classroom. And then you go to, the United Arab Emirates, meet a few celebrities, a few royal family members. I befriended an Emirati woman who, lovely family, and they've invited me over to their house. So I remember when I was walking around their farm, I saw a little baby camel. And so the father, being very hospitable, had motioned, take the baby camel. I'm like, no, I don't need the baby camel. It's okay. And so when it was time to go home, there was, there was a truck with the baby camel in the back. So I said, oh, where is it? Where are you taking the camel? And it's like, no, the camel is yours. So this is through the translation with the help of my student. And she's like, my father is giving you the camel because he wants you to feel welcome in the Emirates, and now you're part of the family. And I was really quite touched, but I told him, look, I can't take the camel because I live in an apartment. It's not going to happen. So through negotiating, the Arab style of negotiating, he said, okay, the camel is yours, but you must come and visit anytime. You are part of the family now. So, and ever since then, they keep in touch with me. They call, they send text messages, and they're just amazing. And so a lot of the expats don't have that kind of experience. So, because you get kind of caught up in your expat enclave.
Yes, that's right. You don't actually get out into the community of people.
Right.
Yeah, stuck in there. Fantastic. They are amazing Kodak moments. Now, COVID kind of put a little bit of a stop to travel for you, and we're really grateful for that because you've stayed here in Adelaide and we've managed to have great times with you. So when when your next trip overseas, you told me you're probably going to Europe, Africa, South America and Antarctica. I just want to let you know that we're going to be there at some stage hanging on to your shirt tails because our family are just not like you. And you have to nag us because we want to be there on one part of the trip that doesn't take us out of our comfort zone too far. So, look, thank you for sharing with us all the aspects of life that so many of us would actually love to live and will never get past the planning stages. Wishing you many more Kodak moments, and we will be joining you on your world tour and hope to spend some time out of our comfort circle and have some fun. Thanks for joining me today, Normy.
You are welcome. It's been a pleasure being on here.
So, free yourself from monotony of life and the expectation and judgment of others. Embrace the exuberance, love of change and creating new experiences of the ENFP. It might be a new dinner venue, a weekend away, a new outfit, a trip to a place on your bucket list. Whatever it is, you only have one life. So start today. Start scribbling outside the lines. I'm Kate Mason. Thank you for listening to Personalities, Parenting and Partners. If you enjoyed this episode, we'd love it if you could leave a rating and a review that would help others learn about the podcast. If you're interested in discovering more about you and your family's personality types, you'll find my newly launched book, Who is This Monster or Treasure in My House, on Booktopia or Amazon. If you have an episode idea, please send a note to thepersonalitycoach@gmail.com. Many thanks to our producers at Stories and Strategies, and I'll see you next time.